Hello everyone, Little KQ here, and today is the second episode of making your first game in Unity with me, Little KQ. So in the last episode we ran into a technical difficulty where this eye here was slightly out of place. So what we can do is that if we go to this right eye here, we just have to move it over a little bit, and then it'll be fixed. It's not that bad of a problem, but now it's not spaced apart enough, so I'm just gonna move it around. So yeah, in the last episode, what we did was that we modeled this symbol character in Unity, placed in the eye, so he has kind of something lighting up. We added in a floor, gave it a material, and we gave our character a box collider and a rigid body script. So if we play this game, nothing happens. So if you see here, pressing nothing will do anything. Well, pressing stuff won't do anything. So we're going to create a script to make it move. So let's create a folder, and we're going to call it scripts. So I shall be using C# in this tutorial. It's my favorite. And I'm going to call this player. Oops, not player. So if you just click here, you can easily change it. You can't right click on it, because if you try to, you see it's not here. So now if we open this up in Visual Studio for me, I think it's mono developed for Mac users, because this is Microsoft's Visual Studio. So you can see here it's going to throw an error at us because this name does not match with this name. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add the name controller at the end of it. And I'm going to do some things to set it up. I'm going to get rid of these comments because they look ugly, and kind of straighten some things out. So the first thing I want to do is type in, type in rigid body OB. Okay, so let me explain. So you notice immediately this rigid body is the same as this one that we added last time. You know, the one that adds gravity. So we're referencing it, and this here is the name called OB. So in the start method, we're gonna press. Start method is when it first starts up, and update is every frame. So OB is going to equal get component rigid body, and then this is where you type in arguments for stuff. We don't need any arguments. And what this is going to do is that the same object that the script is on. So we're going to drag the script over, but we can't because we have saved it. Yeah, so remember to hit save. There'll be an apostrophe, or whatever you want to call it, the little star thing that signifies if you saved it or not. So now if we move it over, it kind of lags for me. So if you see here, we get an error, the private, it's assigned but is never used. So if we drag it in, so this, what the script is set on, it will get the rigid body inside of here, and that is what we're referencing it to. So now, I'm going to want to create a variable. But if you don't know what a variable is, do you remember in algebra how they had those things where it would be, you know how there would be those math problems in algebra? That'd be like, oh, x plus 1 equals 4 to x. So x would equal 3, of course. But what this is, that is called a variable. And in coding, like I said, we have variables. And it's kind of the same. It's literally just a value that you can change at any time. But in C#, there are 4 different types of data types. Okay, and I'm going to explain each one. An int, an int, or an int, or an integer is just a number, and you could just equal it to any number you like. Except here's the thing, you can only type in a whole number. You see, if I put in a 1, it's going to throw an error at me. You can't convert a double type into an integer. So we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to create a float, call it fraction, and it is going to equal 1.1. But again, it's going to throw another error at us because we have to put an F at the end. But now you might be thinking, oh, what if we put F at the end of this? It'll throw another error at us. So that's why you use floats. Okay? Next is a bool, or a boolean, as you want to call it. Call it true. It's just true or false. Okay? And the last one I'm going to introduce today is a string, and it is literally just words, and you have to put this in here because so you know a dog only knows certain numbers. So if I go into Paint Tool Psi, So a dog only knows certain words. So like if you say, man, I wish I can walk. Sorry about my terrible handwriting. The dog will not understand what you say. He'll think blah, 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 walk. Dogs only understand certain words, and a coding language is very similar. It only understands certain words. So if you just type in something here, it thinks that you're referencing a variable. So if you put this in here, you can type in anything you'd like hello world. You can type in whatever we want, and as you can see, if we put this, it won't give us an error. So yeah, I'm going to delete these because they aren't necessary. And now you might be asking why we need this at the end of this, but not here. Well, this is kind of like an if statement a little bit, but not really. I'll explain that later. But this just signifies that the line's over. So here we're going to want to create a float, and I'm going to call it movex. And it's going to equal input.getAccessRaw. And then here, I want to create a new public string just to teach you about how you can put variables into here. And I'm going to type in, you got to give it a name, called controller. So now I type in controller here and save. So now this is a lot. Okay, so what I'm going to explain right now is that after this loads up, you'll see this is here. But so I'm going to set this to horizontal. Yeah. But if we drag this here, it won't equal horizontal. So what you can do is that you can make certain things move with different inputs, so you don't have to use different scripts, and that's what I use all the time. But now, what does horizontal and getAccessRaw mean in input? Well, if you go to Edit, Project Settings, Input, and you'll see that this comes up. So if you press on the axis, you'll see all these things. And one of them is horizontal. And then there are two types. This is for the controller, and this is just for the keys. And this is what we're going to be focusing on. Notice how it's named horizontal. So what it's doing is that it's getting the axis of it, and you can just do regular axis, but raw, I think, makes it go immediately. Because if you don't do raw, it kind of goes like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and then it counts up until it gets to 1. So yeah, that's what that means. So you guys can follow along, of course. So now we're going to do rb.addForce, and then we're going to create a vector3 variable called velocity. Whoops, I didn't spell velocity right. I have a weird setup. It's going to equal new vector3, and then we're going to put this in. We're going to put in mouse x 0f and then 0f. Okay, so let me just explain to you a lot of what just happened. So a vector3 is just 3 values stored into 1. Now you might be asking yourself, then why are we using this for stuff? Well, in a 3-dimensional environment, it kind of runs on 3 axes. So if I select it, you'll see that it moves upon 3 axes. So what that means is that we can store player positions inside of it. There are also vector2s, which can be used for 2D movement, because if I go in here, I can only move them in 2 dimensions. There are also vector4s, which you can use in any way you like, but I don't know, I haven't had to use them in my time, so we're going to input the velocity. Okay, so now let's save, go into here, let it load up, and it should work. So now if we press play, it doesn't work for some reason. Well, that's because of the shape. If you go and create a sphere, whatever you want to call it, and drag in the player controller, and you put in here horizontal as well, and we press play, they're set up the same way, but oops, there's no rigid body. Gotta remember to add that, children. So now if we press play, you'll see that it slightly moves around. Why does it move around so much? And how come the other one doesn't? Well, if we do this, and then press play, how come the speed moves around and the other one doesn't? Well, it's actually rotating the spear. And because of how the spear is shaped, it moves around. But it makes it so this character, because it's square, doesn't. So instead, we're going to do velocity, but we have to make it equal of velocity vector 3. Not to get confused with anything. So now if we go in, press play, we can move around. As you can see, it's very slow. And also, there's something weird going on a little bit. As you can see, it's very slow. And that is our main problem. It's slow. But what we can do is that we can create a new public integer called speed. And now all we have to do is times it by speed. So if you're new to this all and you don't know why we don't use x, it's because you may be trying to reference variable. And this is the main way you've referenced multiplication. So now, if we let it load, select our character script, don't want to rename it, go down, we can set the speed to, I'm going to set it to 7 for now. And let's see how this works. So immediately you see that he's moving a lot faster. But there's a problem. He only moves one way. So all we have to do really is copy, paste, change this to move Y, and I'm going to do this and put in vertical. And then we just have to put in the here, move Y. Now, if you want to be precise, you can change this to Z, but I just like calling it move Y. So now if we save, it should work the exact same. So let's let it load. And as you can see, it works. Now, is it perfect? No, not at all. First off, if you don't want it to rotate, what you can do is that you can go in the rigid body. Let's close everything off so you know where to go. And under constraints, you can freeze rotation upon all angles. And then he just moves around. But I don't want that to happen. But if we look here, we can rotate it like this. What happens for me is that I want it to rotate on the y-axis. So I'm gonna re-enable the y-axis. And as you can see, it still moves around normally. But we can't rotate this. Well, it looks like we can. But anyways, I'm just gonna set it to normal. So yeah, that's moving your character around. So now you have a full working character. And by the way, you press save scene, and usually what will happen is that this will pop up and you can type in. I just like typing in main, but that's what I did here when I saved it. So yeah, that's how you do that. In the next episode, we're gonna get the camera to follow the player, because if you look here, the player can just fall off of this. Yeah, as you can see, it looks very odd. You see, it kind of falls off, but it's very slow. And it's kind of odd not having it follow. So in the next episode, we'll get the camera to follow the player around. See you in the next one, guys.